What's up, guys? We have a lot to unpack in today's update video. I have made some changes, like crazy changes that I don't think you guys are going to see coming or expect. So a little bit of a background history. You guys, I've been doing keto, following keto or low carb lifestyle for on and off over 10 years. That is literally the only way that I've known how to lose weight and how to reach my goals. My current journey began a little over 3 years ago after I had my daughter Clara. It got me back to keto. I lost 60 pounds within a very short period of time. And then from there, I continued on keto, right? I feel like I have been in a yo-yo diet for years. Like that's what it feels like to me because of like keto for me. I would be on it and then I would be off it and on it and off it. It just wasn't one of those lifestyles where I felt like I could just like stay keto all the time and feel amazing and have variety of foods and all of those things. But because that was the one way that I knew to lose weight, that was the way that I just thought the only way that I could lose weight and get to my ultimate goal. Fast forward, I've been doing a lot of Omad, 1 meal a day, and all of this time restricted eating, water fasting, all different kinds of methods in addition to following keto. Now, something happened where we lost our family dog who he was about, I think he was 14 or 15 years old. And that really made me realize, like, we're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. So then I started thinking, if I feel like I'm on a diet the rest of my life and I'm restricting myself to ketogenic foods the rest of my life, that sounds like a miserable, literally miserable existence and future for me. Now, or if I don't lose any weight and I maintain, but I can eat whatever the heck I want for the rest of my life, I think I will be very happy with that. Like just staying where I am and eating whatever I want. I think I will be like, that sounds like a great way to live. But for a lot of people, if they stop doing keto, they stop doing low carb, they gain a lot of weight back, right? It happens very frequently. You start eating all these foods that you were deprived of for so long, and then you end up just like putting on a ton of weight. Like I know some people who have gained like 20 pounds their first month back to eating carbohydrates. So that was the first realization where I was just like, do I want to be on a diet, yo-yoing, but staying the same weight because my body's at this set weight for the rest of my life? Or do I want to figure out what's really going on if I can add in more carbs, but also will my body maintain this set weight for the rest of my life, right? What I ended up doing is I ended up getting what's called a microbiome test done and metabolic testing. And more so because I was just kind of curious. Like I was like, oh, this is interesting. I'm gonna try this out, see what this is. But my microbiome test came back with shocking results, like shocking results, okay? My microbiome was literally reacting violently, like producing toxic methane gases to the foods that I was eating with keto, the majority of foods that I was eating in my lifestyle. I'll put the list of my avoid list that came up on this test, which I would have no idea to eliminate these foods because for one, these foods did not come up on my allergy sensitive test, right? My allergy sensitive test told me I'm just like I have a little bit of allergy sensitivity to dairy and to some cheeses. This is telling me I am sensitive to beef, which I've been eating steaks, beef, like multiple times a week, maybe 4 to 5 days a week. I'm eating beef. I should not be eating beef based on these results. Crazy. A lot of different fish and seafood, shrimp, tomatoes, different things that like my microbiome is literally like, it's making my body sick from the inside. This can also stall weight loss progress. And the goal of the microbiome test is then you eliminate the avoid foods, and then you focus on their foods that are recommended as superfoods for your own personal body, as well as foods that are like your enjoy list. So like that's like should be the foundation of your body. There's also a minimize list, which means you can still have it every once in a while, but don't make it like your main focus of your meal plan, right? And so my minimize list, you can see what my minimize list is. You know, so now my foods that came up on my food sensitivity came up on this minimize list. So that makes sense, right? But there's other foods on here that I wouldn't think to minimize. And so then I have my enjoy list, which is very extensive, and my superfood list. And so basically what I decided to do to add balance into my life and to get off the yo-yo of feeling like I'm on a diet, and to also try to literally optimize my health, I decided to follow this recommended food list based on my microbiome. Now, here's the thing. If you follow keto, you already know keto is restrictive enough. Now, if I'm following keto, which is already restrictive, and then I'm also eliminating these foods that are on my avoid list, and I'm doing all those things combined, that's way too restrictive for me. So I had to come to the point in my journey where I say, you know what, I think I want to add some healthy carbs back into my lifestyle. The carbs that are on my list of foods that are on my enjoy list, I'm going to add them back, but I don't want to gain weight, right? So my very first month, what I did was I said, okay, I'm adding carbs back in. I'm going to start eating carbs again, but I'm going to also be doing time restricted eating and focusing on a short eating window between 6 hours at my biggest window to like 1 hour. And so I was doing Omad some days, I was doing 2MAD some days, but my goal my very first month was just to maintain and not gain the weight, right? Obviously, I'm gonna retain water because glycogen holds on to water, and when you're consuming more carbohydrates, you're going to retain more water. And I did. I felt like very bloated in my face, bloated everywhere. And that was to be expected. So I knew that going into it, that was something that's temporary and it's not gonna last. It's just from adding in the carbs initially. And so following the foods on my enjoy list and taking out the beef, taking out the burgers, taking out all of those fish on that list, and then, you know, staying away from those foods. I did not experience the bloating and the swelling in my stomach that I expected to experience within this first month back to carbs. But here's what I did do. Maybe I fluctuated a couple pounds, but nothing dramatic. I've maintained the entire month that I was back to carbs. Now, once I got through that first month and I was like, okay, now, and I started feeling, I'm really feeling so good, so amazing. I've got the whole time restricted eating dialed in. I've not been hungry, and actually my energy level has improved so much since I added back in the carbohydrates. It's kind of crazy, like really crazy. I feel really good. In addition to this, I read this book by Dr. Stephen Gundry called The Keto Code, which I recommend everyone pick that book up. And he talks about how you can do keto in many different ways. You actually can consume carbs and still be considered keto when you are doing time restricted eating and you have a short eating window and you have a long duration of time when you're not consuming anything, which is allowing your insulin levels to drop and it's allowing your body to actually produce those ketones, which your body producing ketones does not necessarily mean that you're burning fat. It just means that you are mobilizing ketones for an additional fuel source for your brain. Now, typically, when someone is doing keto, they look at that as like, okay, I'm burning my body fat if I have ketones, if I'm showing blood ketones. But it's actually not true, because when your body is burning, like all the other organs and cells in your body can use free fatty acids as fuel. So your fat that is stored on your body without converting it to ketones. So it's only your brain, when it runs out of glucose, that needs to make some ketones to then fuel the brain. And so that's why when you limit carbohydrates, your body then, once your brain sends that signal that it needs fuel, it will start making ketones from your body fat. But you can be burning body fat without being in ketosis, because the other organs of your body, like your muscles that burn way more calories than your brain, can use free fatty acids, which is the fat that you have in storage on your body. So that's just a little side note about that, because I know a lot of people are like, well, if I'm not in ketosis, then I'm not burning fat. But that's not true. I recommend you pick up Dr. Gundry's book, because I think it will really open your eyes to a lot of things around keto. Really cemented into me that this is a change I need to make, because look, I've been doing these same things expecting different results, and it's just not getting me different results. The fasting does miracles for my body, and by miracles I mean I got my blood test done, I got my like triglycerides, I got everything, and I actually found out I no longer have insulin resistance. I do not have a fatty liver. My cholesterol was high a year ago, and now that total cholesterol is within normal range, and I'm working towards getting that to optimal range. And this is just, I got this blood test taken a month after I started eating carbohydrates again, and reducing the egg yolk, which I know it doesn't necessarily matter what you're eating, your cholesterol, your body's making cholesterol as well, but this is something that I did. So I took out the egg yolk and I took out the red meat based on the microbiome testing. The other thing I did was, with my microbiome testing, they actually create custom vitamins based on the blood test and the microbiome testing that they did based on my body. And so it's 8 capsules a day of the superfoods and the vitamins that my body needs that it's lacking. And so I also had that I've been consuming every single day of this, which has been dramatic too, in addition to that. And then I started adding in NAD boosters. So I follow a lot of like longevity, anti-aging, metabolic, performance people. And one thing that kept coming up is your NAD levels reduce as you age, and as NAD levels reduce, your energy levels reduce, and like there's a whole thing with mitochondria uncoupling and all of this crazy stuff. So I decided to add in an NAD booster, and I will put in the description below the NAD booster that I'm using. Really, really good. So I do this NAD booster. I started adding that in. I'm consuming my ketones. I'm drinking my ketones for the benefits of ketosis without being in ketosis. I've been getting 1 to 2 doses of those ketones a day for the mitochondria uncoupling. And like I said, when you read Dr. Gundry's book, I think you'll understand that a little bit better. But mitochondria uncoupling, basically, your mitochondria has the ability to literally waste calories. And there are different things that uncouple your mitochondria, and ketones are a signal to uncouple your mitochondria, and as well as NAD boosters and other things. So I'm doing the decaf nat ketones within my fasted window whenever I want it within my fasted window, but it seems to be falling into like later in the afternoon after my Omad meal, and then like before bed. So right in there, I've been having like a decaf nat ketone. That's kind of been what it's been working out for me lately. This company that does the microbiome testing, they also create probiotics and prebiotics based on your results too. So I got all of that together, and I've been consuming all of those things along with eliminating that other stuff. So very first month, back to eating carbohydrates. Of course, this being my first month back, I wasn't focused really on any type of restriction. I want to get off the diet yo-yo, right? So I don't want restriction, but I also wasn't eating horribly, but I wasn't also eating the best. I was just eating whatever the heck I wanted. That included foods that were not on that avoid list. Going into now my second month, this is when I decided to make the shift from, okay, now I got the handle on eating carbs and maintaining, now I want to shift this over to losing body fat, right? And transitioning, using this diet as a lifestyle that's gonna last beyond the weight loss that I have. I don't want to keep gaining and losing the same weight over and over again. I'm over it. That is the yo-yo that I just am over for the rest of my life. I don't want to do that. And so I am determined, and actually this is a part of the manifestation that I've been on, this journey of manifestation with my health and body goals. I put out there to the universe that I want to be able to eat whatever I want and reach my body goals and maintain that and live like optimally. And that has attracted me to exactly what I am doing right now, which is phenomenal, because it is literally the manifestation of everything that I wished for and wanted. And so what that means for me right now is I am right now on day 5 of no alcohol. So I cut out the red wine. I was drinking red wine last month. Red wine has a bunch of health benefits to it. If you are going to drink alcohol, I would suggest you drink red wine from Europe because it minimizes the glyphosates and toxins and that sort of thing. But the reason I'm eliminating the red wine is because when I consume that red wine with my Omad, it becomes very difficult for me to stick to just one meal and have a shorter eating window. I end up having a larger eating window because either I want another glass of wine or then I start, you know, snacking after dinner or something like that. So I was very mindful with my own patterns with that. And so I cut out the red wine for the next 30 days. And so that's allowed me to go now on day 5 of doing no alcohol with Omad. And with Omad, my eating window has been around 30 minutes, which is crazy. But when I don't drink alcohol, it's very easy to do. And it doesn't take long to eat a meal. I have no restrictions on the carbs that I want to eat. I just want to make sure I'm not eating the foods on my avoid list, which were mostly keto foods anyway. The protein sources that are left on my list that I can consume right now for the next 6 months until I get tested again. And remember, once I get tested again, if it shows changes in my microbiome and everything, that I can maybe add back in some red meat on occasion. Probably red meat's gonna move from my avoid list to my minimize list. And so then I can start having that again, right? The goal here is food freedom, but I very, very much am prioritizing my microbiome, right? Where I'm at right now is the protein sources that I'm consuming right now is either coming from salmon or chicken for the most part. Those are the two main protein sources that I'm getting on a daily basis. Mostly chicken, every once in a while salmon. I'm consuming a ton of variety right now, which is so new for me. Like yesterday I had kale, I had a kale salad, which I never would have had with keto. Like my go-tos with keto, and I think this was the big problem. I think I was eating way too much on keto. So it's easy to do that because it's very calorie dense food. I think I was eating way too much on keto. The majority of my diet was like the same types of foods over and over and over again, and little did I know those same types of foods were causing a violent reaction to my poor microbiome, which would explain why I had you know, swelling and bloating. And then when I switched over to Omad and I had a very short eating window when I did that full 30-day stretch of Omad with water fasting, why I had such miraculous changes, because now I wasn't eating so much during the day and now I gave my body time to heal. So now I'm combining the two together. So I'm not consuming those foods that are just not good for me, and everybody's gonna be different. And I truly recommend everyone should get this microbiome test. You need to see what is going on. It will help you so much, and especially if you've been stalled out, you can't figure out what's going on, why you can't reach your goals, get that microbiome test. I could still do keto and avoid those foods that they say, but like I said, that's going to put me into really, really restricting things that I don't want to be on a restriction diet. I just don't. It's just a personal choice. I'm not saying keto is bad. I'm not saying, I'm saying basically with what I'm doing right now, you can be following any type of meal plan that you like and do exactly what I'm doing. So whether that includes consuming carbs, or that includes doing keto or paleo or whatever the heck it is that you feel best that you want to follow, you can do that, because with time restricted eating, it's not really about what you eat, but when you eat, right? And so I've worked my way up to doing the 1 meal a day, but for most people that do time restricted eating, they're focused on like a 16-hour fasted window with an 8-hour eating window, and then they slowly squeeze that down from 8 hours to 6 hours, and then over time you're training your body to release hunger hormones at different times. Because like right now, when I eat within 30 minutes of my entire 24-hour period, and I'm not trying to eat an entire day's worth of food in that 30 minutes, I'm literally doing 1 meal and eating to satiety. If I'm still hungry, I'm gonna keep eating, but you get full fairly quickly, especially when you're eating like carbs and whole food sources. I found it to be amazing. Like, I'm not deprived in any way anymore. I don't feel like I can't have that or I can't have this. I feel really, really, really good, and I feel like this is something I can sustain. Let's just talk about my results in the first 5 days. So already, right now in 5 days, I lost 6.5 pounds, which I wasn't expecting at all. Like, I'm expecting slower weight loss because I'm trying to do this in a way where it's sustainable long term. But what's happening is, because I'm doing 1 meal a day and I'm focusing on whole real foods, and even though I'm consuming carbs, my body's now dropping. It's dropping a lot of that water that I initially retained within my first month, but it's also now dropping body fat. And so this is the first time I've ever been able to do this. Now, you're probably wondering about calories, right? So I've talked about on this channel a lot about how hormones are like the most important thing. Insulin, keeping insulin stable is the most important thing. But calories matter too for weight loss, right? Because if you think about it, you cannot overconsume calories and then expect your body to have a need to utilize the fatty acids and use it for fuel. It just isn't going to need to do that if you have the calories available. And so calories matter, but I don't think you need to actually count calories unless you need to get a handle on like how much food you're eating just to make sure you're not overeating calories. I think that's where it's helpful. So for me to lose weight, I need to be eating 1,600 calories or less per day. Now this is an average. So if you look at a week, you can have days where you're consuming 2,000 calories. You can have a day where you're having 1,200 calories, but over a week's time, the average should end up being, for me, it's 1,600 based on my body mass and activity level and that sort of thing. For me to maintain, that would be 2,100 calories a day averaged over a week, which I think I was doing with keto. I was very, so that would explain why I would maintain there, right? If you do keto and you also then get your calories down to like a level where you're now in a reduction, then what's going to happen is, and especially if you're doing fasting in addition to that, you're going to lose body fat consistently and you're not going to typically maintain at that level. But a lot of times it's very, very difficult to actually know how many calories you are consuming because, for one, a label can be up to 20% off. Like off in the number it gives you. So like something that says it's 100 calories could actually be 120 calories. It's very, very hard. It's an estimate, right? And so that's why I say like you don't necessarily need to count calories, but it can be helpful, right? To kind of get a ballpark idea and just to make sure like where you stand and what you're doing. So with my one meal, I'm not trying to eat all like the meals that I would typically eat in a day into one meal. I'm just eating one meal and I'm just literally eating it to satiety, and I'm making sure that I'm prioritizing protein, that I have protein with this meal. My main part of the meal is not carbs. That's the other thing. So it's not like I'm having like a big bowl of pasta, right? And then like some chicken on the side. I'm having chicken and vegetables like as my main portion of the meal, and then the carbs are the side. Okay, so if that makes sense. And like I said, I'm just being mindful of it. I understand this, so I'm not gonna just overeat for no reason. I'm not just gonna eat to just eat. I'm gonna eat foods until I feel good, and then I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna go back to my fasting window. I'm gonna fast another 24 hours. So 5 days of this, feeling really good. I'm on a roll. And my goal is 30 days. So follow along on Instagram with me over there. I've got a bunch of information and stories. I keep adding more information there, and I'm gonna do an update here on YouTube as well. I'm not saying I will never be keto again because I never say never. I realize that a lot of you guys who are following me here are keto, and the reason you're following me is because you are keto, and I recognize that I'm probably gonna lose a lot of followers by doing this, but I have to be authentic to myself and I have to do what's right for myself, right? I'm here sharing my journey, and that's always been what it's been. I may go back to keto, I don't know. Like, I'm just experimenting with things. I don't want to be on a diet. I don't want to feel the restriction of things. I'm really enjoying things. And also the other thing is, after my meal, I've been trying to do like a little short 15-minute walk just to kind of bring my glucose down. And I'm not worried about a spike within that one meal because one spike in a day of glucose is not a big deal. The problem is when you're spiking all day long and you keep spiking yourself over and over and over again. Most days I have no spikes. So I'm eating carbs, but I'm not spiking at all. But maybe once or twice a week, I end up with a spike. It's not a big deal. As long as I'm just following what I'm doing here, I'm feeling really good. I feel like I'm on a roll with something. I'm curious, in comments, put it below. Are you keto? Are you low carb? What are you doing? I strongly suggest getting this microbiome test, which I will put in the description so you can click that and you can go there and you can check that out. Go get it. It's a home test. They literally send you a box. And yes, it's a fecal sample, but don't be afraid of that because it was no big deal. It's literally like this like paper that goes over the toilet, and you go on that, and then it's like a little scoop. You scoop it and you put it in this thing, you send it off. It's not like you're wrapping up the entire thing and sending it away. I think that's important because it was very intimidating for me when I first got it. I was like, oh my God, like this is like intimidating, but it was no big deal. It was so easy to do. And then like the blood test is like a little prick you do in your finger, and you do that, and it gives you an entire metabolic panel too with like what's your your real age is, which is cool. Like my real age is actually what my actual age is, which it's like 1 year off. So I'm 37 and it says I'm 38, and I want to get my real age down to like 30. That's my goal. And so with all of this is like optimizing anti-aging and all of that. So I'm really, really happy with my metabolic results from, that was a separate test that I took through Levels, the continuous glucose monitor I wear. They have a metabolic testing section. They send someone to your house who draws your blood, and you get these panels back, and I was just like kind of blown away by the results I got from that and impressed with how good they were. But the question is not, is it because I was eating keto all these years? I don't think that is why my panels were so good. I actually think it's because I picked up this time-restricted eating a few months back, and I think that's improved these levels so dramatically, because my results from a year ago with keto were not necessarily the best, right? I think seeing that I'm no longer insulin, because there's a fasted insulin test in this, which is showing me that my insulin levels were so low fasted. This is such a good sign that I don't have insulin resistance, and that my body is now is dropping those insulin levels. So that allows you to burn body fat for fuel when your body recognizes it needs to pull and get some calories to fuel your body, which it will do from your body fat. The other thing is with fasting, I think you're resetting fast from the research I've done. Now, just keep in mind, like, I've read so many different books by so many different people, so many different doctors, so many different researchers, scientists, all these different people, right? And they all have different opinions on everything. And you just gotta find what works best for you, right? Some of the things that I've learned about time-restricted eating and like your metabolism, your metabolic rate and all of that basically says when you do calorie restriction and you are also fasting, because you allow that insulin level to drop, you're able to utilize your body fat for fuel, and you should be resetting your baseline weight. So we all have a set weight, right? And through fasting, that is the best way to, from what I read, to reset your set weight. And so that, along with calorie restriction combined, and like I said, I'm not counting calories, I'm just mindful, and I'm just eating one meal within that Omad meal. So I'm at a deficit for sure. And I'm probably around 1,600 calories average. But with that in mind, I should be able to lower my body's set weight. So even if my metabolic rate goes down, even if I start because it's not a fixed model, like it's the calories you consume is going to change the calories out, right? There's just different levels and measurements there. And as you lose body weight, of course, your body, the calorie expenditure is going to go down with that, and that's just to be expected. So I can't expect my body to be burning the same amount of calories to maintain now as it will if I drop like 20 pounds from now. I understand that's going to go down. To maintain this going forward from once I reach my goal with this lifestyle, and this is why I love it. Personally, for me, I really do like eating one meal a day, and I really do like fasting. But what I can do to maintain is just open my window longer. So like instead of doing like a 1 hour eating window and fasting and doing Omad, I can do 2 MAD, and I can just have a longer, wider eating window as long as I'm keeping my calories equated, if that makes sense. So I'm not doing a low-fat diet right now. I am eating for my microbiome. I'm eating the foods that are optimal for my microbiome, and I'm going to test again in 3 to 6 months. I might do 3 months, and then that's going to be a changing list for me. That's going to be changing, and then also the vitamins that they're going to give me are going to change too as my body changes and my needs change. All that being said, no diet is one size fits all for all people. You can't have just a list of food to follow, and that same list of food is going to react the same way for every single person. It's very individualized and very different. So if you're looking for something that is customized to you or will allow you to have food freedom, I would definitely suggest looking into this microbiome test, getting it just to see what the heck is going on. And like I said before, it'll give you your real age, but it will also give you your mitochondrial health and how your body's utilizing energy and all of these different markers for you to narrow in your focus on what you should be doing. So like, I need to improve my mitochondrial health, and so I've been doing that through mitochondrial uncoupling. I've been doing it with workouts, with the NAD boosters, the ketones, all of these different methods, as well as consuming carbs too, because that can help the situation too. So that's it for me. I'm going to come in here with another update. I'm going to do, if you guys want me to do what I eat in a day vlogs with this, let me know in the comments below. I want to give you guys what you guys want. I realize it's not going to be what I eat in a day keto anymore, so there's a kind of a transition going on here. This channel is going to be more so about time restricted eating and fasting than like what to eat, so it's more so about when to eat. So that's just the change that's going on here. But I would not be authentic to myself if I just kept doing the same thing over and over and over again and expected a different result and just did it just because to appease social media, right? I will tell you the truth of what the heck is going on at different times in my life, and I'm just gonna go with it and I'm gonna see how it works out. And like I said, if within 3 months, 6 months from now, I don't reach my ultimate goal and I am still maintaining, I don't think I'll be back to keto, because like I said before, if I was maintaining on keto, even if I'm maintaining and I'm eating all this variety of carbs, that to me is a better way to live, and I will live the rest of my life like that very happily, because I don't feel like I'm on a diet. Right now I don't feel like I'm on a diet. With keto I do feel like I'm on a diet, and I know I've said
like it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle, blah 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 blah.
But I still felt like I was on a diet. I would still go to a restaurant and say, okay, I can't have that, I can't have that, I can't have that. Here's my tiny list of food that I can have. That is out the window now. I go to a restaurant, it's like, what do I want today? And I can pick anything that I want off the list, and I can still reach my health goals, and I'm gonna continue monitoring it with these tests, and I'm just gonna take it from there. Hope you guys enjoy this one. Take care.